So consumers who buy food at smaller convenience stores could be paying up to a fifth more than shoppers who use larger branches. That's according to a study by Which.
Now, shoppers who use Morrisons Daily stores, as opposed to the larger Morrisons supermarkets, will pay on average 21% more. So a 400 grams tin of chickpeas at Morrisons Daily is more than double the cost than in larger stores. Now, the supermarket says it's working to keep prices down and has introduced its budget savers range into its local shops.
So let's take a look at Sainsbury's Local. A 500-gram bag of own brand fusilli pasta was almost a third more expensive, costing 85 pence versus 65 in the supermarket. Tesco, let's have a look at an item there. A bag of 42 groceries averaged around £10 more expensive at an express store versus a Tesco superstore, even with the loyalty card.
So both Tesco's and Sainsbury's say that the price difference reflects the higher rents and operating costs in their convenience stores. Let's talk to Which consumer expert Harry Kind. Harry, morning to you.
Morning.
I'll be honest, I kind of always expect it to be more expensive in the local stores, in the smaller ones. But the difference, I think, is what's surprising me, the big differences in prices. How are they justifying this?
Well, they're justifying it by saying that there are these higher costs for their kind of inner city convenience stores, on the high street on Oxford Circus, right? It would cost a lot of money to run one of those stores. But where the real problem comes, and where I think that argument isn't quite so strong, is where you have, say, a town in a rural area where one convenience store is the only game in town. It is a small shop and there is no opportunity to go elsewhere, particularly if you're reliant on public transport and there's poor public transport, maybe you don't have access to a car, maybe you've got mobility issues. And in those stores, it's less a cost of convenience and it's more of a cost of no choice. These are people then who are having to pay a premium for the exact same products that everyone else is buying in the same company's stores in other parts of the country, just because they don't have those same kind of accessibility powers.
Talk to us about loyalty cards, Harry. So in theory, loyalty cards are good for, they like customers who keep coming back, don't they? So do they help in any way if you choose to go back to a smaller version of the bigger supermarket?
The loyalty prices have really muddied the waters on this, because if you use a Tesco club card, you'll find club card prices in their smaller stores and in their bigger stores. And then by a weird kind of quirk of the rollout, Sainsbury's actually don't have their Nectar prices in their smaller stores. So what you might find is that you'll go to a big Sainsbury's or you'll shop online at Sainsbury's and there'll be a deal that's exclusive to Nectar card holders, maybe £1.50 for a pack of Kit Kats. But if you go to their smaller stores, you'll find that that's not exclusive to Nectar card holders. It's £1.50 for everybody. And so that difference does get a little bit smaller because of the lack of Nectar prices in their smaller stores. That may well change. We saw that club cards were rolled out across smaller stores as well. But it does kind of ram home that these two-tier pricing systems add another level of confusion. You are going to the same brand of shop, you're buying the same items, and you're paying different prices because of where you shop, and you're paying different prices because you don't have that little bit of plastic with you when you're buying your shopping. And so the landscape for consumers really is one that kind of can feel a little bit confusing, a little bit unfair maybe, and also that we're having the wool pulled over our eyes a little bit here.
So I think we need to look, Harry, at the word convenience. Convenient for who? Some people don't have access to big multiplex supermarkets. These smaller stores are what's available in their area.
That's right, and the areas where people are even more reliant on these convenience stores tend to be areas with, lower income households. People in families under 21,000, 66% of their shopping is done in convenience stores. And so it's actually those who can least afford it who are having to pay these higher prices for the same goods. And this isn't just on, maybe some luxury items, on branded goods. This is also on those kind of basic foodstuffs, the essentials. 2 pints of milk cost 8% more more in all of these shops and their smaller versions and their big stores. We found that a loaf of medium slice white from Hovis, it was 12% more in Tesco Express, in Sainsbury's Local, and 14% more in Morrisons. And so even those budget ranges are more expensive. And that's before we start talking about the fact that there is less likely to be a budget range available in a smaller store. You're more likely, if you want to get, the cheapest bottle of ketchup, to have to pay for Heinz if you're using a smaller store than being able to access, the Tesco Value, the Sainsbury's Basics version, which would save you a lot of money. And that's something we've covered in the past, and it means that, again, you are paying even more money.
Harry, always good to talk to you. Thanks so much. Harry Kine there, consumer expert from Which.